Hey everyone, it's Michael, and today I'm going to be talking about the Goosebumps TV show, of course, from 1995. This is Season 3, Episode 10, The Haunted House Game. Now, I actually read the short story in Even More Tales to Give You Goosebumps, which is the third book in that series. It's called Special Edition number 3, but that's why. It's the third book out of 6. And that story was amazing in here, and I have to tell you, the episode itself is pretty good, even though it's completely different. Almost in every way possible, it's completely different. There's almost no correlation at all aside from the title. They really should have just changed the title. But the story itself of the episode and the book, like I said, the short story itself in the book was fantastic. One of the best highlights of that book. And this episode surprised me so much by how scary it can be. How cheesy, the fun cheesiness of it was even more off the chain compared to typical Goosebumps stuff, especially from this particular TV show. It was great. It was a really fun time. It was very enjoyable, very cool, and like I said, it has this... I would argue that this is a great episode to watch around Halloween time, like the fall time. It looks and feels like Halloween time, like October-ish. And it has that feel like Halloween, the John Carpenter film, of course, the classic, of just being very fall-like, and that really adds so much atmosphere to the beginning and the end of the story itself. Basically, oh, by the way, this came out on November 8th, 1997, which is really weird because at this point, the day before this episode premiered on TV, I would have turned 3 years old. How weird is that? But anyway, the haunted house game starts off as basically a boy and a girl are hanging out. They're walking down the sidewalk, and they happen to see a little girl standing outside of a really creepy, old, rugged-looking house that looks a lot like the house from Monster House, if you've seen that movie. I almost wonder if Monster House was kind of designed based around this house in this episode. As weird as that sounds, it feels like it. It looks like it a lot. There's another Goosebumps book that's a Give Yourself Goosebumps book that I'm pretty sure Monster House is based around the cover picture of that book, too. If you know what I'm talking about, then go look at it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then go look at it. You know, you'll find out. You'll see it. When you see it, you can't miss it. It's almost like a house with a face. But anyway, they run into a little girl outside of this house, and she's crying and she's upset. I believe she said her pet cat went inside of the house and she couldn't find her, couldn't get her to come back out. And so the two older kids, that are probably like 12, 13, 14, decide to go in and try to find the cat for her. And as they search around in this dark, dark place, very spooky place, by the way, like I said, they find a board game and they open it up and there's like fog inside of it, almost like another dimension. They basically get sucked into a real-life board game. Like, they're the pieces. Like, if you're playing chess, they'd be the chess pieces. If you're playing checkers, they'd be the checker pieces. If you're playing Monopoly, they'd be the shoe and the, whatever other little things they are. If you're playing the Dragon Ball Z theme Monopoly, you'd be like Goku and Vegeta and whatnot. But that's neither here nor there. You know what I mean? Whereas in the short story, of course, I actually prefer the short story to this, but because the short story is perfect. The short story, it's basically a bunch of kids playing a creepy board game, not getting sucked into it. And, like, they would land on a certain space, and they would hear, like, it would say on the space they'd land on by rolling the die in the actual short story, that there would be a scream in the attic, and then they would hear a horrifying, like, just horrifying, blood-wrenching scream from the attic of their house. And that was that whole story. It was fantastic. The whole story was. Whereas in this game, or in this particular episode, they're playing the game as the pieces, and when they land on a certain place on the board, when they roll the dice, basically they'll get sucked into a new area where they have to find what's called a key, but it's not always just like a traditional key. It could be like any item that helps them with certain things later on in the game. And there are some things that they encounter here that are genuinely scary. I mean, there is one guy that's like a pirate. I don't know if the rumors are true that the original Night of the Living Dummy adaptation of the original book, number 7 of the Goosebumps series, the classic era, if it's true that the reason that got canceled was because it was too scary for TV, for kids' TV at least, then I don't know how this got made. Because the Haunted House Game is not a perfect episode. It's very, very good. I would say that for sure. Very, very creepy. But that pirate man, he's horrifying. If I had seen this episode when I was a child, as much as I loved Goosebumps when I was a kid, if I had seen this episode, I would have had nightmares for the rest of my life. It is genuinely scary, in my opinion. Again, with all the cheesiness and the silliness to it that's added in, Goosebumps has that wonderful feeling that a lot of us love about a lot of 80s horror films on VHS tape, especially the ones that went direct to DVD and stuff, like Critters and whatnot. Goosebumps always feels like this the biggest majority of the time when it comes to this TV show, and a lot of the books too, but mostly with the TV show, because this is like a low-budget type show. And this episode feels a lot bigger budget than what it was. I mean, we know it was low budget. Most of the episodes of this TV show are. They usually have like next to nothing as a budget, and yet this episode did really well, kind of like with Timothy Bond, who directed the Night of the Living Dummy 3 two-parter, the 2 episodes that were that. He took what was probably a small budget and made it into like a film-looking thing. Like, it looked fantastic. Everything about it was fantastic. The same, well, not Timothy Bond's not the same director for this, but the director that directed this did an incredible job too. I mean, it just really shocked me by how good this was, how good the performance were from the main 2 kids, not some of the kids that come later on in the story, but mainly the main 2 kids, the boy and girl. I thought they really did a good job here. I don't want to tell you too much, though. I don't want to spoil too much for you. Good music, as always, with Goosebumps, whether it be the actual theme intro to the show or whether it be the music throughout the episode. I thought the music throughout the episode was a little bit different compared to a lot of Goosebumps episodes' music, and very unique in that way, and I really dug that. It just has a whole lot going for it. Again, the story is way better, but the story is completely different from this episode, so either way you go, you're getting a home run for the most part. This isn't perfect because of some of the aspects, like I said, some of the acting. The cheesy factor is a little bit more prominent here than it is in the actual short story that's actually genuinely scary. I think the short story is one of the scariest Goosebumps things ever written. Up there with Ghost Camp and Goosebumps Wanted the Haunted Mask, which are 2 of my favorites of all time from all of the Goosebumps books I've read. But anyway, what are your thoughts on the Haunted House Game episode? Put your thoughts in comments down below, guys. I'd love to hear what you have to say about the actual episode, about my review, about the original short story if you happen to have read that, or if you've only read the Even More Tales to Give You Goosebumps book itself and read the short stories throughout this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of it. I just threw the book. That book cost me a fortune and I just threw it. I'm sorry. You didn't need to witness that, but it happened. Anyway, it wasn't a fortune. I'm just kidding. I got it in a big lot with all 6 books a while back, as a matter of fact. But anyway, what else would I want to say about this? I don't really think I have more to say about it. I'm just going to go ahead and rate the actual episode itself. When it comes to the Haunted House Game from the Goosebumps TV show, I would probably give this a 4 out of 5. And it's like a high 4 out of 5. It's almost a 5 out of 5, but not. Mainly because of some of the flaws. It ain't perfect, but it's really good. I really dug this. I recommend it heavily, very much like I recommend One Day at Horrorland's 2-parter, the Monster Blood episodes, the Night of the Living Dummy 3 2-parter, the Haunted Mask episodes. They're a lot better than this, but I'd still recommend it up there with those. You know what I mean? Like, it's still really, really worthwhile your time. But anyway, put your thoughts down below, guys. Thank you so much for watching. May the Lord Jesus Christ bless you guys today, and goodbye. And by the way, like I said, if you have small kids, I don't know if it'd be the best idea to have them watch this episode. Pretty serious, pretty creepy stuff in my opinion. But anyway, thank you for watching, God bless you, and goodbye.